Welcome, everyone. We have a very special guest tonight. He is amazing. To me, he's a treasure himself because of his work is so astounding. He has revealed so many mysteries, and he's getting to the root of so many things that uncovering a lot of truths. And the more and more we dig and uncover things, the more we're going to need to turn to leaders like Terry Carter. He's been at this since 1981. You know how you can, like with navigation, when you're driving, you can choose like different, you can have like Mike Tyson be your like navigation voice. Like I want Terry Carter to like be like, his voice is so infectious and it's so enthusiastic. I wish he could like narrate my thoughts. Like I just love listening to him. And if you've ever liked a Terry Carter video, like an event of a lifetime is coming up. It's literally the conference. I know there's a lot of conferences every year around the world, but it is the conference to go to. And it's next month, August 14th, 15th, and 16th. And it's the Moon Lake Gathering. And talk about like disclosure and the kind of experience you get to have and the information you get to talk to other people about. And Terry, it's going to be amazing. I highly recommend you go, especially if you've ever liked any Terry Carter video. It's going to be awesome. So Terry, welcome.
Man, Julia, you're giving me a big head, but thank you. You know, it's not me. It's the people that talk to me. You know, I started talking to people from a very early age, you know, and learning their secrets it's not my knowledge. It's other people have shared with me and it's theirs. So thank you guys for having me on, and thank you guys that are commenting. You're giving me a big head. And
it doesn't cost anything, you guys. Like you can, like I highly encourage you to donate, but attending this event, it doesn't cost anything.
It's 100% free to you guys. It costs me money. We keep it down, you know. We don't have lavish, you know, extravagant things. We keep the price down. The speakers are donating their time and that so that it can be free. But it costs me money, costs us money. But if you can donate, great. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Just come and have a great time.
And that is what we intend to do. And the way the stars are aligning, these three stars are coming together because me and Julia are doing Tesla Tech the week before. I got my passport today, so I'm down there. So we are going to make it to Moon Lake Gathering afterwards, and we're going to figure it out. That's what this is all about. And yeah, so for those that don't know, but probably the most viewers are from your channel, as you just recently got over 100,000 well-deserved subscribers on your Terry Carter YouTube channel. Congratulations. And I think your YouTube channel is better quality than I'd say the History channel, you know, like it's legit, it's amazing stuff there. It's great to have you. Do you maybe want to start off quickly with going over the schedule that you've got here for the Moon Lake Gathering? And because it's kind of also like an index of who you got on your YouTube channel, just a fraction of it, right? But
yeah, so first, man, I'm excited that you guys are coming because I'm going to introduce you to a lot of great people. People come from all across the country to come to this. And now I'm hearing there's people from overseas coming too. So this is a great event. And we have the speakers and the breakout session speakers and the demonstrations and that. That's just a thing to get everybody to come. But the real knowledge, the real treat is talk to the people that come, because there's so much knowledge that comes to this thing. And I tell people, you know, just don't be bashful. talk to people, and you're going to hear some incredible stories that you would have never heard any other way. And then I had somebody tell me, well, man, I'm shy, I don't dare talk to people. So I said, just if you see a gathering of 2 or 3 people standing in a circle talking, you just go up and stand by them and eavesdrop, and you'll hear some great things. Well, last year, I always think, why do I do this? Because I don't make a dime out of this. I got to pay my way there. I got to pay my lodging. I got to pay my food just like everybody else. I want to keep this free for everybody. I want to keep the costs down, and I think, why do I do this? Because it's a lot of work. But last year I had a lady come up to me and she says, Terry, I did what you told me. And she says, I can't even believe what I heard. And I says, what did I tell you to do? She says, man, if you see some people standing around talking, just go eavesdrop. And she says, I did. She says, I heard the most incredible stories that I would have never, ever heard any other way. And she says, I'll never miss another one, and that for me, that's the that made it worth all the money in the world for me, is just the knowledge that lady made, so.
Yeah, I'm going to camp. I think we're camping, and it's the after hour conversation that's like a conference in itself, right?
100%. The people afterwards get together and start talking, and in the camping area, that's the best place for to do it, because they can circle up, tell their stories and whatnot. If you're staying in a hotel or something like that, that's pretty tough to circle up, but that's when the real stories come out is after the event's over for the evening.
Right, that's when the real event begins. And
that's right.
I will probably have to share my pterodactyl thunderbird story during this time. And it's one I've been in a lot of the Badlands, a lot of backcountry, a lot of the Canadian Rockies, and it's like I thought these things were insane. I thought they were made up, but then you experience it in your own real life, and it's well, now great. I sound like the crazy person, so I don't talk about it too much because already on like my own work with the alchemy and different breakthrough sciences and free energy stuff that I'm involved with, it's like there's already so much shade, like doubt cast on that it's like I can't go full woo-woo and tell all of my stories all the time, because it just gets used to discredit or attempts of discredit. You'll be like, this person's just insane or whatever. So I don't mention them too often, but it's like I've got 2 separate Sasquatch experiences, stories that I will also, happily share and hopefully inspire to, those.
So presenter wise, who's presenting, Terry?
So before I get to that, man, Bernie, I just want to say, I know exactly where you're coming from, because I had an experience happen to me that I thought, if anybody else would have told me that, I thought, you're nuts. You were on drugs or something, but I had it happen to me, and it changed. It flipped my whole perspective of what reality is, and it completely changed. So I know what you're talking about there, but man, on Thursday night we have open mic, and you better tell some of them stories at open mic. There's some great stories come out on that. So.
Right, and it's exactly that. And right, already in the comments, mushroom trips don't count, Bernie. And it's like, no, that's why, no, 100% was completely sober each of these times. And it's like, you don't talk about it unless you're in the right environment, and I happily will share. But once you get those experiences and have the new perspective of what's actually possible, what's real, and not limit your own bias, you're able to see the world and the environment with new eyes. And then when you go back to certain suspicious sites or places that it's just like you've had that feel like that's got to be a pyramid, or that is definitely a monolith, right? And then all of a sudden you're able to actually start picking out the details and collecting the evidence.
Yeah, until you experience something like that, you just don't understand. I didn't understand. I heard a lot of great stories, but I just didn't understand. So Somebody said they wish they could come from the Superstition set. There's going to be some people from the Superstitions there that have some tales to tell. And there's a lot of great stories in the Superstition Mountains. You know, there's a group there, the Dutch Hunters. They have a rendezvous every year in September. Man, it's a great time there. If you're from there, you need to make sure you make it to that rendezvous.
Hey, like, so there's some people coming from the Superstitions. That's awesome and epic, because that is one of the most, not just suspect, but actual finds, right? Like, there's been some recovered Spanish gold and stuff from those areas.
Yep. I know a little bit about the Superstitions, not a lot. I've been there, but I know people that know a lot more. You know, Wayne Tuttle and Frank Augustine from the show Legends of the Superstitions. You know, they've invited me out to their rendezvous and shared some great stories. Salvador Delgadillo. There's a lot of great stories out in that area. Yeah. And a lot of strange things goes on out in that area. There's a lot of people go missing out in that area.
Yeah, and it's like, to the average city slicker that doesn't believe in these other things, and or like believes the conspiracies, my own personal experience with the Sasquatch encounter a couple years back, I could see why people go missing, and I do now believe the stories of them like kidnapping natives and humans and like putting them in their groups and stuff for murder. Like, who did they? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it for now, but it's terrifying.
There's stories of little people out there. There's stories that the giants were out there. There's stories of what Salvador Delgadillo calls the black fire Nephilim Giants. They look like they're black, but they have like flames of black flames on their arms,
oh, wow.
You know, around their whole body, like it's a flame, but it's black, you know. And
damn.
I was just at Bradshaw Ranch and we were filming a documentary, and something, they don't know if it was like Sasquatch or what, like threw a boulder 3 different times, and like out of nowhere. But a lot of things will like come in and out of the dimension at Bradshaw Ranch. I'm like, this is wild. This is so wild.
Uh-oh, one of your viewers is giving you the warning to not divulge secrets to me and isn't trusting of me. That's okay.
Be nice to the alchemist. Be nice to the alchemist. I don't know any secrets anyway. My secrets is the people that I know. I know a lot of people with secrets, you know. That's my claim to fame, is I just know a lot of people. And now, alchemist, you're one of them, crypto alchemist. I've known Julia for quite a while, but we haven't really talked, Julia, but I've wanted to. In fact, when I heard you talk about Tartaria, I didn't really know anything about that. And I had to look that up, and I thought, I got to get Julia to tell me that. What's going on there?
Yeah, we definitely need to have like a deep dive on that, Terry. Yeah. Tartaria.
Right? And because there's a lot of misinformation and misinterpretation in that community, while simultaneously a same amount of ridiculous real evidence, real discovery of these antiquitech, the energy harvesting from the ionosphere, the resonant bells, and it gets into ancient alchemy as well, but that the Tartarian area, that like there's evidence of this actual missing, wiped out advanced society. It's in Siberia, it's in Northeast Asia, directly where we were told that there was absolutely no human like civilization and history of, yet there's these different maps showing all of these past castles and cities, and now going on Google Earth, right where they have these old castles, you're literally finding satellite images of these ruins and this different ancient history that they completely
Yeah,
wiped out.
Tartary, it was the largest empire on maps, and then it was like slowly incorporated into like, different sections of Tartary, and then all of a sudden it just kind of disappears. And it was an encyclopedia, I think in 1771, mentions it, and then there's even a CIA document mentioning to cover up that the Tartaria. And so, because there's a lot of people that will say Tartaria is a psyop, when it's like, no, hold on here. They had their own flag. Like they had two different flags, and their own government. And there was a griffin on one and an owl on another.
The double-headed griffin, though, that's the key. It was the double-headed griffin that was the original, along with the owl, right? So those were the two official empire flags of Tartary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, ask Terry about the underworld dumbs. I don't know. I don't know a lot about this other stuff. I know about, there's stories of giants in the underworld and stuffs like that. Hey, David Altman, how you
Hi,
doing?
David.
I've heard, and I didn't know this. I'm just slowly learning this. I've never really delved into Tartaria, but I thought maybe it would be an ancient civilization or something, but I guess it's not really that ancient. Was from like the 1700s or something like that, and then I'm really going to have to do a deep dive with you, Julia, on
Yeah,
that.
for sure. We're going to. I can't wait to geek out on that with you.
One thing I have to just like my own opinion, but I believe this is actual fact, and that's avoided in the general narrative about Tartaria. It's sold as like this what's the words I'm looking for, utopian civilization, but the actual facts is that the Tartars and the remaining Tartars today, it was all Turkish, and that they were this Islamic Turkish caliphate that was like the like written history of what remains of the Tartar people, and that the greater Turkestan expanding from modern day Turkey all the way through Eastern Asia up into the northeastern corner there. That is where the Tartar ethnic people still remain, and they still write and use a mixture of Turkish and the original Tartar language. And yeah, so that's something you don't really hear about, but you can actually find a lot of real history and evidence on of the Tartar ethnic people. And yeah.
Well, it sounds something that sounds interesting, something right up my alley that I don't really know anything about, but I can see, man, I need to learn more about this. So, Julia, you're going to be my girl. I'm going to lean on you for this. I'll have to do an interview for you and learn more about this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. What an honor.
Question. Have you ever heard of Jerry Will's work?
I have. I don't really know it that well. I know that he got heavy into the Grand Canyon stuffs back in the Egyptians in the Grand Canyons back in the 90s, I believe it was. Other than the Grand Canyon, I don't know what else he's, I don't really follow him, other than I knew he was heavy into the Grand Canyon, the Egyptians in the Grand Canyon. He tried to find it. They got scared off by helicopters or chased off, or I don't really remember. It was back in the 90s when that was going on.
Yeah, I forgot about that aspect, and that's real awesome work that he's done, and it's a parallel experience to my friend Rex Bear with Leak Project when he went to the Grand Canyon and tried flying a drone over. It was several years ago, and it's like they had the anti-drone technology at that time, crash his drone down, and then immediately up from the canyon came a Black Hawk helicopter, and it was all on camera. And that him and I forget the other guy he was there with, they were talking about how they were followed by a couple of unmarked SUVs with guys with suits like leaving there and stuff. And it's just like it's wild, but it adds to the legitimacy of the claims there. And welcome, Ezra. We got Sarah joining us. Oh, look at that.
Hello.
Well,
That's me and you, Terry, from
Sarah,
a couple years ago.
Sarah, how you doing? It's been a while since, Sarah was a lifesaver for me. I don't know how to do live stream. I don't know how to, and she
I know. I sent her there. I wanted to be there, but
Sarah,
I was like, Sarah,
you
you
gotta go. Thank you.
It's so good to talk with you guys. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm honored.
So back to the Grand Canyon, the Egyptians in the Grand Canyon. I've interviewed several people about that, and you're right. One couple was camped there on the rim of the Grand Canyon where they figure this area is, and where Jerry Wills was going down. And they said a helicopter came up, and they had all kinds of photos and stuff. So a helicopter came up, got so close to their tent, it blew their tent over the rim. And then everything, all the pictures they had that was on their computer got wiped clean.
Ooh.
And then another couple, and an older couple, they was finding things out, and the black SUVs started following them, and same thing happened to them. Their computers, their hard drives got wiped clean. And then I talked to another guy who he got a paraglider and started flying his paraglider down through there, and no black SUVs or helicopter came after him, but he flew around, and he says he's seen some incredible things. So
wow.
And
I wonder what they do to zap it. Even a hard drive?
EM weapon. It's EM technology. They have the anti-drone, and yeah, it's wild. And it's because they don't want people snapping pictures like this, where you clearly see these straight terraces. This is the Tower of Ra, I believe, and or ISIS. This is the ISIS one. Okay. And right, this is ISIS. This is the ISIS temple. This one right here. It's the 5 or 6, right? And then so you got the cave, right? Like all these different entrances by the rivers throughout the systems. And I think it might be Horus. This might be the Temple of Horus or the Tower of Ra. It's one of the main ones there. But they're all so symmetric, and it's are these still the homes of those black flamed Anunnaki, and that you spoke of there, and or whatever they are, and that Rex Bear also privately told me he had a similar sort of encounter with something along those lines. He didn't really want to go into detail about what he saw and experienced, but that came from the clouds against thunderstorm that appeared out of nowhere right after they left, right after the black SUVs were like following them there after the Apache. So it's like everyone having parallel experiences, right? Like, sure, it's like, I don't want to believe there's these giant alien entity things like with black flames, but it seems that there might be, or something along it, right? But there's military guarding, there's flight bans over this area. And yeah, so Cheops Pyramid, Shiva Temple, I think it was right there, that Temple of Ra. And there's literally 50 different named structure, temple, pyramid, I guess gods or demigods of the past that are in this.
I think they named it though in like the 1800s.
Well, that's what we're told.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
how do we know it just wasn't a map? They already had the names or renamed them to something similar. And so right here on Isis Temple, another big thing not a lot of people know about, but so we're told in 2001 that 2 airplanes took down 2 towers, but in 1950s we're also told an airplane built a wall. It built a wall right here when it hit or crashed in the Grand Canyon. And so, sorry, here we go. So here's the the pictures of the old entrance into Isis Temple, the main arch canyon in. And then, yes, so they closed down the Grand Canyon in, I think it was like 52 or 57 or something like that. There was this supposed horrific airplane crash there, and it was to go in and recover all of the deceased people, they said. But yeah, so you can see like it is this remaining arch, and it's straight up this old entrance into Isis Temple. And that, yes, we are told that an airplane can both build a wall in a canyon, right? That it will either build a wall but also take down towers. Which one is it? One of these 2 conspiracies has to be true. It can't be both. I'm
Yeah,
going with.
Bernie, I was told that I was told by like a guy in like a black military defense, a private military defense company, that he said where the plane crashed, like where it landed, is right by like the entrance into the caves that like Kincaid talked about. He's like, look up on the coordinates. And do you remember what year that happened?
I think it was 57. It
So
might
that
have
would, so
been
that
58.
checks out. Like you're, so the conspiracy is like saying they did that to so they could go and do the wreckage, which would give them cover to go in there and have access to an area they may or may not have had access to. Oh wow.
Exactly, and builds this wall that now exists blocking that cave that is the
Oh.
center former entrance of Isis Temple. So right, so this is the pre-airplane crash retrieval,
Mhm.
and this is ever since then what
Okay.
exists.
Yeah,
There's this,
I didn't
yeah.
I didn't know about that. You know, Dr. Truott, had friends in high places in Washington D.C. Had clearances, and he got him out some pictures and stories of what went on in the Grand Canyon. And some of these pictures that are out there, they came from Truott. That came from this high clearance Dr. Laney that he knew. Dr. Laney's now passed away, but some of these stories and some of that came from there.
And
So,
aren't there supposedly statues of like Anubis that were pulled out of there?
you know, you hear
I
all
think
kinds
that
of
was the
stories, but
Kincaid.
yeah, there's you know, they said that you know, there was Orient or Egyptian or Oriental like things that were in there. You know, the Donna and Dwayne Woodward, the older couple who was investigating this and had the black SUVs, they talked to somebody there, and his brother was special forces and became a guide for the archaeologist into one of these areas, into one of these caves, and they let him go in the side of the cave. He said just long enough to see these statues, far enough, but they wouldn't let him go any farther. And so, anyways.
Wow.
Again, you can see here clearly there's a wall. This is no longer that entrance, and it almost looks like the remnants of carvings of statues, right? Like it's potentially the stuff that we see in Petra or in India. Shout out to Walter Bosley and his theory of a former worldwide Vedic civilization remnants that it could be. And that just like you're saying how that there was evidence of both like Egyptian, the Orient, potentially Sumerian, it matches exactly what we saw with the Crespi collection too, and that these are all potentially remnants of these great empires that were formed after the catastrophe of like the Great Flood, the Younger Dryas event, the time of whatever Atlantis was, that then afterwards there would have been these new localized, like from a one world sort of civilization into these surviving warring sort of factions, but we're still traveling around the world and would have been accumulating these different collections of what we're told are gold tablets. And are these some of these gold tablets potentially, and these crystal relics, are they the high technology of the former civilization, just like we're finally getting to now, where we're finding that the solid state hard drives are light and information frozen in crystal and gold and stuff that
Right.
I like to believe that, like in Egypt, what we're taught about Egypt, but that they're referring to gods and things that actually lived in America, especially like Arizona, Utah area up there. And like even Horus is depicted as his head is an Oplomado falcon, and that's indigenous to that area. Like now these Oplomado falcons have had to go because of environmental damage, like they've migrated further south, but of that kind of information of like, wow, he's depicted with an Oplomado falcon head, and that's indigenous to this Grand Canyon area. So are they referring to that civilization that lived there, that predates what we're taught happened in Egypt?
Hey, man, AV Adams, how you doing? I see Jen Ottens and man, who else did I see? There were several of you, man. How you guys doing? AV Adams said something about Crespi, and I'm glad you know about Father Crespi, man. That was something that was really interesting to me.
I have to state on this part that 100% there was 2 rooms filled with golden tablets that were all gold, and that is not made by locals. They did not go out and mine new gold to then refine it down into tablets and sheets to then give it away for nothing, right? Like he was literally paying them for the artwork that they would bring him, right? So that's why they made a whole bunch of the clay ones and stuff like that you're actually referring to. And yes, there was all of that, but he wasn't paying them in gold. So like, just logically, it makes zero sense that they would be forging the gold relics, like monetary. They're doing it for monetary incentive. Why would they, right? Like, it doesn't make sense.
So, I happen to know quite a bit. It's been a while since I've done Father Crespi, but Dr. Paul Chessman went and visited Father Crespi, and he took Jay Golden Barton with him. Jay Golden Barton was a great friend of mine. Jay Golden Barton, give me his Jay Golden. They've all passed on now. But Jay Golden Barton, let me photocopy his journal of when he went on these trips to see Juan Moritz and the subterranean tunnels, Father Crespi and all that. And I got some of the pictures and stuff in it, some of the video footage of that, And Jay Golden Barton says that when Father Crespi, when they went back to see him, Father Crespi told him that they stole all of his collection from him. And then when he passed away, they was trying to smuggle a lot of it out on an airplane. They figured to the Vatican. The government stopped it, so it didn't all go, but they gave it to some museum and archaeologists. The majority of it, the rock artifacts and stuffs like that, they Kim Johnson Howdy, they deemed as fraud, and so all the rock artifacts and things like that, they just crashed up and used it as rubble on their roads. And then the gold artifacts and things like that, they melted it down. They melted it down. There's some of it still survived. That went into some of the museums there, but the majority of it got destroyed. And
Crimes against humanity, right
Father
there.
Crespi was not happy about that, not one bit, that they took it from him. They barred him from his own collection.
So
And
straight up
Yeah,
cover up
unfortunately,
right
we're
there.
hearing about a lot of this destruction of artifacts, and it's in it to cover up the history, is what it feels like.
J. Golden Barton told me that Father Crespi told him Father Crespi had quite the education. You know, he had credentials, a lot of credentials. You know, archaeologists, all kinds of credentials. You know, he knew for a fact that there was a lot of fraudulent stuffs, and he put those in one room. He put the real stuff in the other room. And he told J. Golden Barton, Dr. Chessman, you don't want to see anything in this room because that's fraudulent stuff. This is the stuff you want to see. He knew there was fake stuff.
There's so many cases like this when dealing with these sort of finds. Do you want to maybe go into one of the famous ones that you've been involved with, documented similar sort of parallel story there?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one you want to talk about,
No,
but
like
first I want to say,
One of the
being we're in the
booby trap
Grand
ones.
Canyon. What's that?
so like was it the Burrows
Brewers
or
Cave?
the
Burroughs Cave?
Brewers Cave? Yes.
So before we go there, man, while we're in the Grand Canyon, you know, I'd stumbled onto a unique set of hieroglyphs, neatly and painstakingly carved into a cliff wall. You know, it took some time to carve this, and it was high in the cliffs. It was virtually inaccessible to get to. It's not on an easy path, a beaten path. You know, it takes a lot of effort to get there. You know, while trying to research that, I wrote some papers on it. I had a website, and I shared that, and a friend of mine seen that. I went to high school with, and I happened to run into him, and he says, hey man, them things are pretty cool. He says, I ran into some strange markings. What do you think they are? And you know, I had to meet up with him later, and what his story was they down to Lake Powell, which is formed by the Colorado River, which flows through the Grand Canyon. You know, they dammed it up and made the lake. Well, he was in a houseboat, and the lake was as high as it had been, and they went up as far as they could get this whole houseboat up a canyon, and then they spent the night there, and then in the morning they got up as family and hiked around and was exploring, and they came into this panel of rock petroglyphs, you know, and they thought it was cool because it wasn't your regular native Indian petroglyphs, you know, so they took their family photo in front of it, you know, so he had records of them. And then 10 years later, he's telling me, and he brings me the picture, man, it clearly looks Egyptian to me. And I'm thinking in my mind, if the Egyptians in the Grand Canyon is real, why wouldn't there be something farther downstream, you know, or, you know, so I mounted an expedition, several of them, to try and find these, and he told me where, but the lake has dropped so far that 100 feet in vertical elevation, when the terrain is on an angle like, you know, that's miles. And so to pinpoint them areas in miles, you know, I've done several expeditions, and I've come up empty-handed every time. But while we was doing that, we started researching on the internet, and we found a lady who'd found another set just like that, not as big as this panel, 30 miles away from where we was looking for the panel my friend found, you know? So, man, I would love to try and find these and do some ground penetrating radar, see if there's something that doesn't look natural, see there's something that ties into a civilization or something of the Egyptians being there. It might not be Egyptian at all. It might have been some Egyptologist that went there and went camping, and he wrote in this big, hard script that says,
we're not even going to go there, because then we're debunking ourselves when in fact you've proven the thesis, because like you said, we should expect to find them throughout the river system, and that's exactly what we are finding. and we will continue to find more of. And
that's true.
Terry, I
So,
love that information where you talked to the woman who found, it was in Utah, where she found a relic and it had Tutankhamun's high priest cartouche on it.
that was,
And
oh yeah,
I love that.
was,
That kind of supports it, right?
that was, there's been Egyptian artifacts found, and these mysterious hieroglyphs I was talking about, I call them the mystery glyphs, and I started tracking them all across the western United States. There's 39 of them scattered throughout the western United States. But some of these sites, they found some Egyptian artifacts, and one of them is this egg you're talking about. In 1918, this young girl was hiking around near one of these mystery glyph sites and found this rock that was the size and shape of a chicken egg. You could see it had been carved. It was shaped to look like a chicken egg, and it had some markings on it. And they thought that it was just Indian scratchings on it or something. That young girl kept it all her life. And when she became older, her great-granddaughter was over visiting her, and she had terminal cancer. She was dying. And she was rummaging, going through some of her stuff, and she found that rock. She gave it to the great-granddaughter. The great-granddaughter kept it all her life because it was something that her great-grandmother gave her before she passed away. Well, she was sitting in the dentist office in California in the 70s, and there was a magazine put out by the Smithsonian Institute, and it had on it the articles in there was about King Tut's tomb. In the 70s, King Tut's tomb was making its round throughout the western United States. I remember when it came, I went to it. Some pretty cool stuff's in there, And anyway, she started noticing that some of the markings on this egg that her grandmother had given her was the same markings on King Tut's tomb. And so on his sarcophagus. So she took it to the University of Berkeley. They authenticated that it was a piece of alabaster from Egypt, and it had King Tut's high priest signature on one side of the rock and the cartouche of his name on the other. Now, this egg was found in 1918. They didn't even really know who King Tut was there. They never broke into King Tut's tomb until 1922. How did that happen? There's another site in Colorado where a guy got a hold of me, and I thought he was talking about, he found a panel of mystery glyphs, and I stopped in and seen him. And when he was 5 years old, he was playing on a knoll near his house. He lived out in the country, and there was a depression in this knoll, and him and his dog was up there playing. He was 5 years old, and he found this black rock that was round and had been carved on it, and it was carved to look like an Egyptian scarab beetle, and it had Egyptian hieroglyphs on it. So he showed me that. Well, I sent some photos to some Egyptian antiquities dealers, and they says, man, this looks like it's the real deal. It's looks like it's not professional like one of the priests would do. Looks like more like a magician's amulet. It's something, because they didn't have as much skill or as much writing knowledge as the priests or the scribes or whoever, and they said that it had Tutmos III's name on there. So there's Egyptian artifacts that have been found, and a lot of stuff is being found, but you never hear about it. If it's on a regular archaeological dig and they come up with something like that, they don't enter it into the record books. They just toss it to the side, call it a one-off, and that's it. And that blows my mind, because if they would record this out-of-place archaeology stuff, it might paint a picture of what's going on. But because
shout out to Michael Cremo and his literal out-of-place artifacts, forbidden history books, where of all the cases that have been actually reported. And it's like, that's what's so great about your work, Terry, is that you've compiled all of the different people that have now found these different artifacts and what they've got in their stories. And with AI, the fact that this is one of the actual good, positive, useful tools when it comes to helping us in the long run verify this stuff, is that it's connecting to all of the actual timelines of when these artifacts are found, what's on them, and then deciphering the different languages, and that a lot of them are these proto ancient languages, and the different evolutions and thus time frames of them and being able to like verify that yes, this one is real, yes, these ones are fake, but and then all of these ones are definitely real, and then it's like it's going to give
Well, and
this
it's like,
level of authentication.
sorry,
And
just
so
to,
continue.
I apologize, just to intersect, it's also like talking about the details of the depictions that we're seeing in this, in the origins. Like, beautiful example, when I was in Utah, the McConklin petroglyphs and the very almost alien like influence that's heavy in there that they don't address and they're not talking about. It's really interesting. And then it's like getting into the specifics of sort of some ancient languages as well, and the connections there.
Right. And so I just, so I can move photos on. This one right here is one of the images of one of the Crespi collection golden
plate. Yep.
tablets, right? And it's like, oh, look, when we actually look into it, we've got Brahmi and Harpin language proto into half of this tablet. And how the heck could have some supposed indigenous tribal people from the early 1900 in Ecuador manage to accurately write all of this stuff down? No, they didn't. Like, it's like this, and just more and more examples of this happening in confirmations, and then with like a actual AI, honest AI, right? It's that we got to create our own and feed it all of the information that it's taught off of, and not let it be influenced and programmed to give the narrative as all of the open source ones currently are. But yeah, let you guys continue.
So yeah, there are a few things that get cataloged and into the record books, but the majority of that out of place arc stuff, it doesn't get cataloged. It doesn't get shared. It just doesn't get entered in the real, the books. You'll never hear about them. We'll never know about them. The pictures that they could paint, who knows? It might not have belonged in that archaeological setting, but those people could have found it somewhere and brought it in. There's still a story that could be told. So
exactly, right? And that it's like, it's just as useful for verifying what is fake, so that time and resources aren't wasted on funding scammers, and that verifying all of the legitimate real ones, because it's like at least 10-20% at the minimum of these things are real discoveries and real artifacts and being suppressed, and that is what needs to be funded. And humanity deserves its real history now, and the control and the lies need to stop.
Oh, Terry, one of my favorite stories that you did was about the guy who lived in Manhattan Beach, and he went out to the desert and he laid down on like a bed and like disappeared from reality. And he got shot at, like.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
he sat in a giant stone chair. Yeah.
I was like, I want to find where these stone chairs are. I have to get there.
He's gonna be there, so I'll introduce you to him.
Oh my God, he's alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. My God. And he'll be there.
Oh, so, I cannot wait.
Yeah, so man, I was gonna say something else, but now I can't remember what. Oh well.
This is a random thing while I was out there, Terry, because I was running around, obviously, around the gathering. But I found near like where some of the petroglyphs area are, to me, and I have other pictures of this. This looks a lot like, this is, by the way, guys, part of the McConklin petroglyphs. Some of you guys might not have seen them in real life. So shown here.
Well, those are another part of Utah. You're talking about the McConkey Ranch, and
yeah,
you guys got to go see them at McConkey Ranch. They're the most spectacular petroglyphs in the whole United States, in my most humble but accurate opinion. These things are life-size. Not only are they carved and pecked, but they were also painted. These guys are adorned with jewelry. These guys are adorned with crowns, breastplates. These guys are, These aren't
We
your
got to
regular
go see these guys
Americans.
and film them ourselves while we're there, is
Yeah.
what you're
And
saying.
Yes, you do.
this isn't them. This is another site in Utah. These are more spectacular than these are
I think
cool.
this is yeah, like Sage, or and I apologize because my memory's lapsing me. It's something Canyon, I think
Yeah, I
these
think
ones
that's like
were.
those are in Barrier Canyon.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely got to see those petroglyphs at McConkey Ranch. They are spectacular.
Ezra?
The
You
only
lose me?
other thing here in what I remember, and I again I apologize the exact location, but I found this really interesting sort of head face off of the side. And here's another shot of it. I don't know if you can really see that, but there was definitely a section that had fallen off here. And again, it's not the best picture, but it very much, you've got eyes here, nose structure, obviously the elongated head. But there's just a lot of really interesting, and it continues. A lot of things continue to be found out there, especially because of the remoteness. You talk about it being a challenge to get to most of these areas, needing four-wheel vehicles or getting out on foot.
Yeah, right. And it's all the Badlands. It seems to be anything that is ever called like Devil something, or that they make into the national parks, or the buttes, the monuments, especially as well, I find. And yeah, so I wanted to tie back a bit into why I had brought up also Jerry Wills. He was the one that introduced me to these underground, under mountain tunnels that go, supposedly continent wide and stuff, and they're in the mountains. And he was down like a decade or two ago throughout South America, and he filmed himself paying off a couple of the security guards, I believe in Peru, maybe Bolivia, and then actually entering in and descending down into one of these ancient carved tunnel systems. And he was showing also the all the different trap doors, the trap rocks, how it's blended in to look natural, and then the different rooms in it, and describing also how they connect to, in Peru, to some of the now Spanish church cathedrals that were built over top of the megalithic sites and stuff. But I believe I myself might have found one in the southwest of Alberta in the Rockies here, and that we're going back to explore it soon. But that's what appears to be a reptilian head. I've got several different angles of it. It even has like teeth going on it, and the eyes, and like it's all stacked rock. And then there's what are exactly as Terry had, or sorry, not Terry, my apologies. Jerry had shown, Jerry Wills, in the it was in the mountains, I guess Bolivia, somewhere around Lake Titicaca, but they also connect to supposedly throughout Mexico and those pyramids, but the big in Peru, the city in the clouds there, I forget the name. Anyways, to the point, this actually opens up to a massive cave, and it is in Mount Yamnuska, which is the first giant mountain of the Canadian Rockies, entering in to the pass that then goes into Banff and Lake Louise. And it's a sacred mountain to the indigenous people there, with their Morley town right next to it. And that it was my dog that ran up and found this cave hiding with this, and that prior to us finding this guy, so here's a little picture of it going in. My dog stuck his nose in and got super spooked and like yelped and ran back. And my dog is a giant 120-pound bull mastiff that I was just like, okay, we're not sticking our heads in further that day. But
It's
going
interesting that it's
back,
like a reptilian thing. Marco Polo wrote about what it's this kind of describing a reptilian, and that they would come up from subterranean Earth, and that there was people that hunted them, and like it was a difficult thing to do, and that their gall, to ingest their gall, gives like us humans like superpowers. But so that's interesting that you're saying it's a reptilian
right, and
statue.
it's that stuck with me because I've heard some like legends and stories of supposedly like Mount Shasta or one of the ones around there that also supposedly has a under mountain city with some sort of reptoids in it. But so this right here, so what I showed the cave, it's behind the perspective, so behind me from where I took this picture on the front side of Mount Yamnuska, and now this is on the back side of Mount Yamnuska facing the other mountain, and what I believe to be two large bear guardians, and then there's these two humanoid guardians, and there's these carved, chiseled passages, stairways into the um, uh, straight cliff face of the mountainside there. They're absolutely huge. I've been back a couple times. Sorry, I don't have. So here's a little bit better picture of that, and it's like, I swear, like elongated head potentially. So two guardians there, but we're going back to investigate it more. Who knows if it is something? Who knows if it isn't? But it's very interesting. Oh, and then yes, here it's like 500 feet or so, I think, up this cliff that this chiseled pathway is that goes all the way over to where the rock slide is. And we're at least going to go back at the end of the summer with a drone to try to get close up uh, video and pictures of it. But it appeared that like this went into like a crack in what appeared to be a cave, and then the opposite side of it is this parallel carving and path that could possibly go into a cave entrance there, and between the two is a massive rock slide, and it's what we see. These massive rock slides we always see, especially down in your guys' neck of the woods in the canyons, where the indigenous ancient cliff dwelling rock castles and houses and stuff where they're old hideouts. And then it's like right in the center, usually of the canyon, you'll have like what looks like a blast out with this rock pile. And it's like, is that hiding the old entrances potentially of these underground system cities that they speak about in their legends of the ant people and the other entity people, giants
Terry,
and
with all
stuff,
the
right? You
information
know?
you've heard about giants, like, were they always like cannibals and evil? Did you ever come across any information about giants that were protective or guardians or anything positive?
Yeah. Yeah, there was the Navajos said that there was one that came and used to visit them all the time, and just before he passed away or disappeared forever, he came and partied with them for spent the time with them for a week, and then went off and said he was going off to die and died, and they never ever seen him again. And Marcus Many Dogs told me that, and this kind of makes sense, that you hear about Lovelock Cave and the Indians was fighting the what tribe was that? can't think of it right now, that they was fighting the Paiutes. The Paiutes was fighting the Giants, you know. Well, they gave him the name of Site Ka, which means Thule eaters. You know, if these guys are cannibals, why did the Indians call them Thule eaters? You know, so is that a real story that they was doing cannibalism on them, or is that just an excuse that the Paiutes made to justify or whatever? However, Dan Dillman, who will also be there, his family, they uncovered some giants, and they found a big quarry of a bunch of bones of the Native Americans that they could tell had been cannibalized. Somebody had eaten them. So, you know, I think it's just like us, you know, we got good people and we got bad people.
Right.
Sure,
but you
never giants and bad giants.
But you never hear anything about it. And so Catalina, there was so many giants that were found, and Ralph Glidden really was the one to dig that up and get all those giant bones together. And there's legends of that. There's a portal. That's why there's so much activity in and around Catalina of all these USOs like coming up out of the water. And these accounts go back so many years, and that and that there was giants there to guard this portal in and around Catalina. And I was like, dude, so I'm always looking for positive information about giants. It's just really difficult. I'm like, I bet Terry knows. He's got to know. You did. Thank you.
There was somebody, I forget who he was, Bog something, said that he rides his horse around the Four Corners area and has seen Egyptian stuffs. Man, take some pictures and share with us. Take pictures and share.
Yeah, open mic. We'll see you on the 14th, man, at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
You come share it. Should bring your pictures. Anybody, right? Anybody that has amazing information.
I mean, it's got to be related. You know, don't be, you know, talking about you went deer hunting, and unless you've went deer hunting, you've seen Bigfoot, then you can talk about that. But you know, it's got to be, you know, out of place. You know, giants, treasure, UFO. Bigfoot, strange encounters, you know, something like that. But yeah, come share your story. You know, there's a lot of people that love to hear your stories, and there's a lot of great stories that come out of this open mic. You know, stories you wouldn't have heard any other way. So
that is true. I can back that up. It was a wonderful experience and something I'll never forget.
Did you camp there when you went?
Actually, I did not camp there. I was lucky to find a family that had a really cool setup on their farm, and got to stay in like a little studio setup in the back. And it was very close to the gathering. And then, as you can see, I got to explore it at the same time. And Terry and I connected right away, and just made me feel like super open. I really appreciate that. I mean, it was such a joy to get to know you and your family, and then everybody. It was just so welcoming. One of the best experiences. I really wish I could go, Terry. I've got a really big new project happening, and Bernie was like, "Are you going?" And I went to my business partner. I'm like, "Can we go? Can we go?" He's like, "Sorry, we don't have time."
I'm still bringing you. You don't have a choice. I'm gonna talk Kevin into it because you're already coming to test the tech, and well, Julia's coming with me, so I know.
So now we have to go, right? It's
right now,
yeah. Julia, you can convince Kevin for me. That'll hands down. He'll be like, "Okay, I'm going."
Dude, yeah, let's go. Tesla Tech and then Moonlight Gathering.
We just let Terry convince us all by going over all of the speakers here quickly while I pull up some more pictures.
So, one of a kind again, and I just actually I actually hit all my lives, but I ended up posting it. I put up the live from Moonlight Gathering a couple of years ago, so it's the only live on my channel right now.
So for speakers, we got Wayne May, who's the owner editor of the Ancient American magazine, and he had all kinds of people coming to him with artifacts that their families had found, out of place artifacts. He got things that came out of the mounds, you know, got stories of giants, got the Indians, the Native Americans started coming to him with their oral traditions. And so He's got some incredible stories, and I think he'll be bringing some artifacts of some incredible things that he's gotten a hold of. And then we got Dan Dillman. He's the one that his family uncovered some giants. He's got photographs of them. He's got incredible story of what him and his family did. He was on the History Channel show in search of Aztec gold. Anyways, he'll be speaking. And Lon Childs, him and his dad, they had some property in Kanab, Utah called Three Lakes, where they figured a lot of people converged onto there thinking that that's where Montezuma hid their treasure. And they went going after it. And a lot of curses happened to them. People ended up dying. A lot of bad things happened. He's going to be talking about that. Dustin Eccleston, he's the Utah president of the MUFON Association. He's going to be talking about that stuff. Warren Gettler, he's an investigative journalist. He was a journalist for the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg Report. He wasn't just a local reporter. He was he found out about the KGC, the Knights of the Golden Treasure, and he started using it in his investigative research and figuring out if this was a true story or not. And what he found, man, shocked him. And he got involved with some treasure hunters, and he helped organize that. They found a massive treasure, and they brought in the FBI to do it legally.
Wow.
And the FBI...
And they stole it, right? The FBI stole it?
The FBI stole it from them, and they couldn't prove it. But later on, this is up in the mountains where there's some cabins, and the FBI was only supposed to be digging and stuff when I was there, but they sent them home early, and the people that had cabins up there reported back to them that the FBI was there all night long. They brought in big lights, power plants, brought in heavy equipment, and then they brought in armored trucks and dug it and got it all night. And then during the day, they come up and brought them up there and showed them there was an empty hole. And so they thought they screwed up. There was nothing there until they started getting the real reports of what really went down, So we'll have that. Fisher Metal Detectors is going to be there. The manufacturer. I don't know if a major manufacturer's ever been to Utah metal detectors, but the Fisher Metal Detecting Company is coming there, man, and going to teach people all about metal detectors and the right way to do it and all kinds of things like that. And then we got all kinds of breakouts, and some of these you guys are going to really like. But we got Del Bascom, who's one of the old timers here for the Spanish treasures here in the Uinta Mountains. And when he was younger, he interviewed all the old timers and got to learn. They told him their secrets, and now he's the old timer, and he's sharing that stuff with us. It's they're supposed to be in the Uinta Mountains, all kinds of Spanish gold bars, which I'm looking for in the Uinta Mountains. Robert Kreider, he's a Bigfoot. He was really a treasure hunter, but he done a lot of Bigfoot investigations. He did some major studies for some of the universities. He collected samples. He got all kinds of things, gave them to some of the top people, the top researchers for the Bigfoot community, and they lost them. They disappeared them. So there's kind of a fox in the hen house when it comes to the Bigfoot community. There's some hidden stuffs going on there, but he has all that. He even almost had to go to court. They had to talk. They was going to take him to court, one of the university professors, and press charges on him for squandering money on a mythological animal. And he went and talked to him, shared the evidence, shared the proof, and they backed down and never pressed charges against the university president. And that's how serious this got and how things was getting suppressed. But he was a Bigfoot researcher because while he was treasure hunting, he ran into Bigfoot. He knew the area he was at, was seeing him, and interacting with him. And that's why he became a Bigfoot researcher. But he's also an inventor, and he's invented a new way to hook to your metal detector so it can see of what you're actually seeing in the ground, scan deeper in that. And he's got some backers from Germany coming in to unveil this new technology. Randy Bradford, he's coming in from Missouri, I think. Missouri. He's coming in from Missouri. He's going to be telling us all about the Lou treasure map, which is a secret map that people think has to deal with the government, a lot of things. He can be talking about that. Dan Dillman, he'll be talking about, his family's expeditions, the Giants, the searching for Montezuma's treasure, the cannibalized bones they found, the treasure that they did find. They found some incredible things. Bob Brewer, he's going to be talking about kind of the KGC treasure stuff too. His uncle was a sentinel who was guarding all these treasures, and that's a story that you'll hear probably from Warren Getler about. You hear the story about how the South shall rise again. Well, Jesse James and them, they were robbing from the North and burying money and ammunitions and gold and silver all across the western United States, so they had funds to start up another civil war. But then the Spanish-American War happened, and it kind of united the United States and thwarted them plans. But all that buried treasure, and they think billions, even trillions of dollars worth of treasure is still out there. Ron Utah is a great friend of mine. And I shared a lot of my stuff with her, all my stuff with her on Brewer's Cave, and she's taken it even farther and delved into the Giants. She's going to be talking about Giants and Brewer's Cave. Alien Dave, he's kind of Utah's. He's been on Ancient Aliens. He's Utah's Mr. UFO. He is the one that broke the story, uncovered the Area 52 in the deserts of Utah. He's going to be talking. And then Ryan Burns, he owns the property right next door to Skinwalker Ranch. They share a fence line. In fact, I'll have to talk to you later about this. Anyways, he shares a fence line with Skinwalker Ranch, and he's got strange things happening on his property, just like Skinwalker Ranch. One of the strange things is he's got it behind, and he calls this Space Wolf Research. And he was just on the George Norris show not too long ago. But one of the strange things that happened on his property, it's behind a locked gate. He had a metal connex there, and it was sitting one direction, and he left and he came back a while later. I don't know if it's weeks later or how long before he visited this property again, but he came back and the connex had been picked up and moved 90 degrees. And his lock gate was still locked. It would have taken a huge forklift to move this thing. It's something you're not going to move by hand. I mean, these things they're storage containers that they haul on these big ships across the seas and stuff. Their things are heavy. There was no tire tracks, no nothing like that. Well, he's looking at it, trying to figure out how this thing got turned 90 degrees, and he had a pair of pliers in his hand. And he was up there and got next to the connex, the metal container there, and his pliers stuck to the connex. His connex become magnetized.
Wow.
So he's going to be talking about that stuff. Man, I'm probably missing some people. Bill Bettinson, his grandmother was Butch Cassidy's sister. And he ended up with all her notes, all his letters, all her information about her brother's Butch Cassidy. What happened to it? He's going to be talking about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and that. Man, we got guys that are going to be teaching about dowsing, about metal detecting. We got, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff here. It's packed. There's no way you're going to be able to fit everything in. But, I broke it all up so that the people that are interested in Bigfoot can go see the Bigfoot stuff. The people that are interested in UFOs and that kind of stuff can see that. The people that are in treasure hunting, they can go see the treasure hunting. The people that want to hear the unexplained, like the Giants or things like that, they can hear stuff like that. So it's just going to be a filled pack. But the real deal is all the people with all the knowledge they have coming from all across the country, That's the real show. That's the real show.
And Terry, like before, is there kind of side workshops again where there's like some of the presenters are kind of doing their own thing and showing people how to do some of this stuff themselves, like the rods?
Yep, there'll be some guys there to teach people how to do dowsing, metal detecting. I think we got some people to share about prospecting. Yeah, we'll have people like that there too.
Yeah, it was really nice the way you had it laid out previously, where you had the big stage presentations, but during the day there was more side, like personal type group like settings. So it was very nice.
So before, to keep the cost down, we got to go as cheap as we can. So we was supposed to be up at Moon Lake, and the Forest Service found out how many people was coming, and they put a kibosh on us. They put a stop to it. So we had to scramble it and moved it down to Alamont to their city park. They was nice enough to let us to use that. But the problem with that, it was sometimes it was so hot. Sometimes it was windy. Sometimes it would rain every now and again. And the terrible part was the presenters couldn't really show their slides very good because, during the day they just washed out their slide presentation, in the bright sun. But this year, man, we're all indoors. It's climatized. It's a nice facility, the Duchesne Event Center. We got breakout classrooms where the presenter can show their slides for the breakouts. The main stage will have, this is going to be a great time.
So this definitely cost you some money. So even though you are making it free to everyone, you do require donations for those.
No, I don't require it.
No, I'm not saying like you don't demand. It's not required, but like
I'm still doing this pretty cheap, so I don't need a lot of money. But I would appreciate some donations. But if you can't afford it, if you can't afford it, just come and have a great time. I just want people there to have a great time. Plan on camping if you can't afford it to save money there. We'll have food trucks there, but man, it's cheaper if you bring your own. So plan on that. If you don't, whatever you can do to save.
Wait, are there showers? Like, I don't, are there showers at the campsite?
No, because this just in the, there is a bathroom.
All right. Nobody, if you guys come up to talk to me, keep that in mind.
There is some out
dirty.
where they'll have some running water in some of the outdoor restrooms there, in the area where the camping is set up.
On that note, anyone that wants to donate to help me and Julia be able to rent a hotel room just for one of the nights in the middle, so we can shower.
I could shower,
so that we can keep running the media team, because it's free, so we're able to make it there. Because I'm already down there, right? So we're doing it. And we're going to help Terry broadcast just like we are right now. Wait,
if we were to fly in, how far away is the nearest airport?
Salt Lake City. It's about 2.5 hours away.
Okay.
So yeah, Julie, if you need, I've got a motel room, me and my wife. So if you need to borrow that, for do a shower, you can do that.
I hear someone says there's a creek river. Okay, Bernie can bath in the river. We're good. You got it.
There's a river right there. There's a river right there. So also, I don't care who comes and films this. If you've got a YouTube channel, if you've got a social media channel, and you want to use this as a meet and greet for your people and have a meet and greet, man, use it as your meet and greet area. You can film whatever you want, live stream. There's only a couple people that I know that says they don't want their presentation filmed, but they'll let you know before they start their presentation. But everybody else, man, live stream it, video, talk to people. If you want to have a meet and greet with your group, man, do it. Do it on my dime.
Oh, this is amazing, Terry. You are such a legend. I feel like you're a national treasure.
I'm not a national treasure.
No, national treasure.
My national treasure is I know a lot of great people like you guys.
I'm telling you, genuine of genuine, and proves it in real life. It's seriously one of the best experiences. These people are really true to what they're saying and what they're doing.
Well, and
I did post a map of the area, if you want, in the back of the city park where it's at, the little town.
We're not in Altamont anymore. We're in Duchesne this year.
Oh,
we got a killer deal.
Nice.
you know, we got this event center, and it is a nice event center. We got it cheaper than what it cost to rent the porta potties last year. So now we'll have indoor.
Oh, perfect.
This is
What
going to be
that is amazing.
climatized. This is going to be climatized. This is going to be nice.
Like
Is
that.
it
All right,
fishing?
that's epic. You got an event center for cheaper than the price of last year's porta potties. That is a win right there.
They were generous to us. You know, I feel so blessed, you know, because it just wrapped us into a more of a first class event, you know. So man, I'm excited about this year. I don't have to fret that we're going to have a thunderstorm roll in the middle of the event or something. You know?
Dude, all I know is that I want to wake up in the morning to like Carter's voice telling me affirmations and starting my day. Like that would be amazing. I really think we got to really market. We got to capitalize on your voice and energy, Terry. It's glorious. I
always
love it.
thought I had a stupid voice.
No, my God,
Thank
no.
you.
No.
Thank you.
Is it Fort Duchesne, Terry?
No, it's just Duchesne.
Okay.
Uh-oh. All right. Ezra's giving fake news, fake knowledge there, so we're gonna remove that for a sec.
I'm just trying to get you guys away from there, you know. Just kidding.
You know what? I want to say one thing. You know, I had, you know, a couple of years ago, I had somebody say, and there'll be people there trying to hawk their books and blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, that's about the stupidest thing I've ever heard, yo. Yeah, these authors are going to be selling their book. They're donating their time to us to come and speak
That's
to you.
independent business, right? Like
but why wouldn't you pay somebody for their lifetime work, their knowledge? You can
Right.
get what took them a lifetime. You can buy their book and shortcut your memory. That's about the stupidest comment I've ever heard. If there's somebody there that's got a book that's interesting you, man, you need to get it and shortcut your knowledge. If it doesn't interest you, don't buy it. You know, nobody says you have to buy a thing, you know. But for that comment, I thought, wow.
Right? Like only Walmart
Seriously.
is allowed to sell books now. Don't support independent authors and journalists and researchers and their life's worth of work because they don't get the government and academic grants to spew the same propaganda and narrative, right? It's like it's so backwards. Like, there's nothing better you could do than buy these people's books and help them out and gain something out of it in their research and work.
100%. They're donating their time. They're paying their own way here. They're paying their own food, just like everybody else, you know, so that everybody can enjoy this, you know. There's nowhere you can go to an event like this for free. That's it.
Exactly.
That's the place, the Duchesne County Centennial Event Center.
The other town I realize is really right on the back end of Skinwalker Ranch. I did not realize that.
Yes, it's closer to Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. But this is a bit further, but not like this whole area is actually really nice. And I actually found when I came out this way, I found like a local couple who's renting out their little cabin in the back and not far from this area. So you can probably find setups like that too. And yeah. It's definitely worth it. Get out there.
Well, like I said, we're trying to make it free for everybody. You know, if you can afford to give a donation, a small donation, man, I appreciate it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Just come out and have a great time. Meet a lot of great people. You'll hear stories that you would have never heard any other way. You might even see some artifacts show up that you would have never seen any other way, you know? So
I would say definitely one-of-kind stories. I don't think you're going to hear this anywhere else, not online. Get in person.
Well, maybe online, because me and Julia are going to try to share this, and we've helped Terry figure out the multi-streaming so we can put it on Terry's channel too.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
Thank you. So there is, you know, there's a lot of people that are pretty secretive, and they'll tell a few people, but they won't tell you on camera. They might tell you to your face. You know, there's a lot of that. You know, there is a lot of people that they don't want to be on camera. They'll tell you the story, but they don't want to be known who they are. You know, so
Oh,
But the main
exactly. And
speakers,
Yeah, those are the ones
yeah.
I really want to talk to.
Yeah.
The
so
people that
And
don't,
I'll
yeah, that
introduce
never
you
want
to
anyone
some.
to know. Okay,
I'll
perfect.
introduce you to some people that's got some incredible stories to tell.
I have many people's secrets that I will never ever tell. It's like it's just the trust you establish when inversely also when working in like the breakthrough technology and classified sciences and occults with the alchemy stuff that I do and with APEC and the different research groups that it's 100%. It's the after the public recordings, then what's comfortable to be shared unpublicly, and then the trust that comes with telling those, and to be able to always and no matter what respect the wishes of the person giving you the information as if you're signing a legal NDA with them, or like like at least that's how I try to keep it, and it's the sign of your word is what you are, right?
100%, you're right. Your word is your bond, and your integrity is everything, and you got to honor them wishes. If um, so, yeah.
And it exudes off of you. And again, I can't tell you the energy and the genuineness from all these people that I got to meet. And Terry is the number one most genuine guy I've met in a long time.
I'm not. But thank you for saying that. But no wonder I like you.
Instant buddies.
Got so much more I need to share. So someone earlier on your channel was saying, Terry, every Thursday you going live. Maybe not every Thursday, but if you're down for it, we should definitely do this a couple more times leading up to Moon Lake, if possible.
Yeah, we could do it some more times. Yeah, my my work schedule is crazy. What I do is crazy. I don't have a regular 9 to 5 job. I might be home today not doing anything, and I might be in Florida working around the clock tomorrow. I just never really know. So
Perfect.
I'm not reliable.
That is my style, right? Where you'll message me or Julia whenever you're free, and it'll pop up and happen. But as for the audience, our styles. There's no forewarning, and might run an hour late starting because we're planning it out and trying to make the best. And have you ever seen this topographical map before?
I have not.
So I'm taking it back to the Grand Canyon again, and there's a couple of these, and this is a topographical map of showing the highest points of what turn out to be named pyramids, buttes, and temples. And sure enough, they perfectly align with all of the stars in the sky that are and make up the Orion/Hunter constellation.
Well, that's
And
interesting.
right, so
Yeah.
right, you can see Bellatrix star matching with Isis temple, the Mintaka with Cheops pyramid, Rigel with the Summer Butte. We have the South Star with I think the natural some other buttes. Anyways, there it is, completely lined up. Even Horus Temple has a smaller star right in it. Like, how can that it can't be
What are the odds?
natural?
What are the odds?
Exactly. Sorry, I'm flipping through to find the other somewhere. There we go. Here it is. So here's the second topographical map of showing the Colorado River.
Makes you wonder if the big fire in the Grand Canyon was to cover anything up.
And the Isis temple right there. One of the key parts of both the star system and the layout of the Grand Canyon, and perfectly at its top. And like that's not coincidence. That can't be natural. And so again, like when we actually look at these things, the amount of 90-degree angles, like sure, there's like probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years of natural wind and water erosion, plus whatever catastrophe from when these were built, but rivers did not carve out complete 90-degree there's too much to it. Like how did wind and water manage to erode these perfect rectangular step pyramid and layers over and over? It doesn't work like that. And then again, the Orion constellation continues. There's several alignments throughout the Four Corners area, and that I think it's called the Orion Zone is the book by, I forget the author and researcher who published it, but yeah, again showing another one of the alignments here. It's quite are they eroded former temples and monuments to giants and demigods or just previous human civilization? This one here is just, I find it wild because that looks like a castle on top of a pyramid, and it is, I forget which one it is, but it's one of them, and it's called a temple or a pyramid, as it appears to kind of be. And my thesis of this is that it was the Colorado River was dammed at one point, which would have flooded this area more of like an inland lake sea sort of system where you would have had the water and oh, still there? Okay, still here.
You was breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, so how they have covered up the remnants with Lake Powell, I believe that the ancients did a Lake Powell only probably a few times throughout this area, and that it wasn't to drown and bury it, but in fact raise the level to where all of the entrances are and where you're finding all of the different petroglyphs and carvings in the walls, and that would make sense why and how and where they would have had water and the irrigation and stuff, right?
You know, when I was going with I talked to an archaeologist because they went through before they dammed up the Colorado River and made Lake Powell. They went through and done an expedition and tried to map and mark as much of the archaeological sites as they could, you know, before they got covered up with water. And so when I talked to an archaeologist about these Egyptian hieroglyphs that this friend of mine found, he says it's got to be fake. Because first, there was never any Egyptians here, you know, intercontinental travel, that never happened. But second of all, you know, they mapped and cataloged every archaeological site in that canyon before they flooded it. So it's not on any report. So, man, it was made after they mapped it, you know. And so I'm thinking that is so vast, so desolate. Them canyons are so, you know, I mean, there's no way in my mind that I thought they could map and catalog all of that. And I was down there when I went on my expedition to try and find these Egyptian hieroglyphs. I went into the museum there, and the lady running the museum there told me that she found an ancient archaeological site that they didn't know about, which told me that statement that archaeologist told me was not true. You know, if she found an archaeological site that they didn't know about, and they even named it after her, you know, that proved that statement right there false. And so that guy telling me that them Egyptian hieroglyphs can't be right because they was already mapped and it didn't show up in any reports, not true.
And it's like there's also a good probability that there's been over, you know, the probably even 100+ years, if not longer, intentional subversion to make sure that all of the Egyptian hieroglyph finds that have been found don't make it into the public report.
Well, you know, you had a there was a regime in there that had an agenda that there was no intercontinental travel before Columbus, you know, and to prove that, you know, you had the cocaine mummies and the Egyptian mummies with the tobacco in them. Those people that come out with them findings, they were top in their field. That's why people would bring this stuff to them to have it tested, you know, forensically tested, and they accidentally come up with that stuff and they reported it and they crucified it. They tried to make them out as quacks. They tried to make it out as, you know, they don't know what they're doing. But yet before that, man, they was the top in their field, you know, and that's just how they operated. And so it got so that these archaeologists was afraid to report anything that was out of place. That's why anything that was found out of place that didn't fit the narrative of their dig, it got tossed and never got put into the records, was because they didn't want to face the scrutiny that would come down on them for that. But to back them up, you know, to help give them a little bit of support, there is a lot of fraud that has been created, you know, and so they do have to deal with that. And so to combat that, they just categorize everything a fraud. But, you know, not saying 100% everything that found is legit, because there has been a lot of fraud. I caught people doing some fraud. So
exactly, and that's what it's all about. And it's like there's always scammers, and then there's the frauds that are put out by the system as counterintelligence directly for covering up the real ones. And like, look at this, like this is a perfect step pyramid right there, just with a bunch of debris on it, and it's right by this perfect rectangular mountain thing. It's just suspect by oops, there we go. Sorry, did it freeze on me? They don't want it coming out.
Yeah. They're like, don't reveal this.
I was going to say, they're trying to shut us down.
They don't want this coming out, so much so that they will chase you out with Apache helicopters out of a supposed barren canyon park, right? Like,
Hi, Dub Selector. Shout out to Travis. He works on 14 different quantum computers, and he does the video editing for Uncharted X. And we love Dub Selector. We miss you. We love you.
We do. Travis is awesome, as is Ben with Uncharted. All right. Sorry, to finish off, I just wanted to do another presentation.
You're breaking up on
me. Bernie.
Uh-oh. Are we good now? Can you hear me now? Maybe I'll turn my camera on. All right, so because we like to try to keep them to around 2 minutes or 2 hours, so we got about 20 minutes left. I'll try to make this one quicker, but this is a major part of my own research and close by to me in southern Alberta, where I'm located. And as you can see in the top right corner, it's the same image that I use for my profile picture of Crypto Alchemist. And I originally found out about this site and this guy from the work of Arthur Ferrum of the Ferrum Foundation, and he is the discoverer of geoglyphs and geoglyphology. And how
Bernie, you're breaking up again. You want to hold off on
that
this last part?
shit, eh? I even turned off my camera. So basically geoglyphs, they can only be seen from the sky, and they have radials that mark out and map to other ancient sites. And I'll do a whole new presentation on that later. But he found these guys, and he found 3 of the faces, and there's, I believe, 8, or there was 8 in total that people found, and then I found an additional 10 corresponding throughout the entire valley, and they're all different native warrior mask style totems that
Oh, you're breaking up again. Yeah, though this seems to be even more advanced than like, the Nazca lines.
Yeah,
Bernie?
so and he found this site from looking on Google Earth, because when he decoded the Nazca lines, it gave him these coordinates, and that's what led him to actually find this.
Wow.
And yeah, right. So that adds so much more to it. And what was called the iPod here, in the spot of this guy's ear, this is actually an oil derrick, and this is an access road. And this right here from his forehead to his chin is 300 meters. Sorry,
Wow.
I'm Canadian. I don't know American measurements. But also, there's what appears to be another crowned figure right here with mouth, nose, eyebrows, crown, and that what's right here. Uh, and it's other presentation I've done in the past, and we'll do again off
It
of
says 300 meters equals 984 feet. Wow.
yeah, so quite large. So here's a larger image of the area, and as we go along, I'm showing that there's, from several different angles, that it's more and more defined, that there's no way that these are just pareidolia, and that it doesn't matter what time of year you look at these. Sorry, okay, so right, so this one being in the summer, again, why it's green, all of these different images, obviously.
We lost you.
And you can see in the logo I made for him up in the corner, he really pulls out the lines and the, yeah, like that.
Right, so here's one clearly with all the vegetation on it, and that it's always showing this guy. Now here we have on the other side of the valley 2 more additional face masks. You can see the elongated head, long nose, birdman style that we see from like Easter Island on this lighter sided guy. So the big nose there, mouth, and the big forehead. And then inversely, the darker side, what looks like this Moai style character from like the Hawaii, the Polynesians, where you got the big brow here, and the nose and the mouth, sort of mask. But then I noticed that actually this right here seems to be more
Bernie. Bernie. We lost you.
devil.
But I went to the geoglyphs in Blythe. A lot of people don't know about the geoglyphs in California. And I noticed the way I felt when I went up, like right. There's one that's like 170 feet, and it's like the outline of this giant human. And the way I felt, like physically, like I got these tingling sensations everywhere, like down below, and then my head was tingling like everywhere. I was feeling like a heightened sensation, And so it just made me wonder, like, what's beneath here, and what are these
Yeah,
indicating?
like what's the soil property? Obviously,
Right.
there's a lot of quartz, but other stones and their properties of how they influence. So I'd be curious about this site as well.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, Bernie, we
So
can't
this is
hear you.
can't hear. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How about now?
Yeah, now I
Now it's
can.
better.
It's
Now it's
choppy,
better.
yeah.
Okay. So this one's known as the Aztec or Mayan feather headed or feather serpent headed headdress, and you can see there's like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the chin, and then you have this headdress with this dragon or feather-like thing coming out of it, and it's work done by Arthur Fairham again. He covers, and this is the access road. And then we have what appears to be another guy here. But I was like, I'm not going to take the word for it. I'm going to go to the site myself and investigate these. And when I did, that is where I found the real evidence that this is definitely not a pareidolia. And show that right in. If it's not going to freeze and you can still hear me, this is what the hills are made of, and it's from top to bottom parallel terraces, these ancient parallel terraces, all the way from the base of these hills, and they're about 1.5 meters in height, and you can see that they actually extend to every directional face of the hills themselves. The rancher, the owner of this property, he had come out and was talking to me, and I brought this aspect up to him, and he like laughed at me like I was crazy. He's like, "My family didn't make that, ain't dad? These ain't." I'm like saying that you have nothing to do with these terrorists here also do not, and that you can see that they're actually covering the entirety of every single one of the hills that make up these valleys that, when seen from above, are indeed these different face masks and totems that are geoglyphs. And shout out to my moms who took this picture. That is me right there. It's just for a bit of reference and scale when understanding the size of these massive geoglyph sites, and that yeah, it goes on and extends throughout both of the valleys that have these different indigenous
Bernie.
uh,
Bernie. Oh,
sorry.
it's like
All right.
charades. I feel like it's like charades. This is
I think you got a great story to tell. I only hear part of it.
yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm going
It's
to
not
stop. We're going to
authorized.
save it. So that's a teaser. That was a teaser for what you will get at Moon Lake Gathering. Or if you come back and watch us when we do this again. Got 10, 12 minutes left. Final words, my friends.
I think we covered all of it. I love Terry. I can't wait to go to Moonlight Gathering, and everyone be patient if I don't get to a shower. Like, in a nutshell, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Terry, have you watched my episode with Scott Walter? I'm not sure who you are, but maybe I think I have. Maybe I have. I before Scott Walters had his show, when I was trying to track down what the mystery glyphs were, I'd seen a show that he did for the History Channel about the hooked X and the Knights Templar. And so he was talking about how he's a forensic geology, and he could tell you how old these these petroglyphs and that was. So I want to know if he could tell me how old these mystery glyphs were. So I sent him a picture of him, and he emailed me back and says, "Man, that's classic Knights Templar." So who knows?
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. I've yet to ever have the opportunity of talking to Scott myself, but big fan of his work. Know exactly the episodes that you just referenced, and they were inspirational when I watched them too. But another friend of ours, shout out to Mike Forrest and his ridiculous collection of Mexican ooh parts that he goes by .com and they
We're losing you again, Bernie.
Brutal.
Yeah, this is brutal. But Terry, really quick, Terry, did you ever find the petroglyphs that you discovered? Were they ever translated or narrowed down? What type of language that is, or what it says?
There's a lot of people that's tried to interpret them a lot of different ways. Some people said that it was a demotic Egyptians, and they broke them down to the definitives. What it really closely represents is the Ojibwa had a pictorial language that was only known by just a select few, the shamans or people like that. And they said it was the pictorial language that was handed down for over 100 generations by the ancients. So,
oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome and epic. I like that and need to see that. And we all need to get to Moon Lake Gathering. So anyone that wants to help donate to Julia's cause, and anyone that was able to afford
donate to Bernie's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, help him get a better setup. And Bernie's coming from out of state. He's kicking his butt to
out
make
of country.
It out there, so.
Gee.
Out of country. Sorry, I said out of state. Lame.
Last year we had a producer from Canada come out there. He's got a couple shows on the networks, and he came out there. And
nice.
Yeah. So.
And again, I'll just have to back up that, these are one-of-a-kind people to meet. This is one-of-a-kind opportunity. You're talking about like one-on-one, really getting into it. Get offline and get your butts there. And I know I'm working at it. I swear. I really want to go. I need to give Terry a hug again.
Hey, awesome. I'll be good to see you again.
Well, this has been amazing, Terry. Thank you so much. Your wealth of knowledge. Like I said, Terry International Treasure Carter. That's what I'm going to refer to you now from here on out. Your new name.
I know a bunch of national treasures. I've got most of my knowledge from other people, and it's a shout out to them. And I'm just the lucky guy that got to meet them and got to hear their stories. So
that's what I'm going to rename this stream.
Right, everyone can be lucky going to Moon Lake Gathering, where Terry will introduce us and anyone to these epic people and their stories.
There's going to be a lot of epic people. This year is going to be legendary, So yeah, there'll be a lot of people from all over the country there that's got a lot of great stories.
Amazing. I'm honored. Thank you.
Bernie could be saying something right now.
Right?
Bernie says he's honored. Let me translate. Bernie says he's honored. He's excited. Donate. We'll put the links.
Nice.
I love these people. All right. On that note, love you all if you could hear me, and we'll do this again soon. Ta-ta.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just Bernie.